it's time for us to get started. So we'll call this regular scheduled session of Fiscal Court into order. And on April 26, 2022, and we'll start off with an invocation by Master John Caywood.
May we come together in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day so that we can thank you for all of our many blessings that we often take for granted. We ask you to wrap your loving arms around those who are suffering in Ukraine and the world. We pray for those who must endure the sounds of war and death all around them. May this situation find a quick end and let love for each other prevail. May we find forgiveness each day for those around us. As we face today's world, may we remember forgiveness and love is your message, as you have always forgiven and loved us. May we make our decisions wisely as we encounter difficult challenges. Give us wisdom, understanding, patience, and faith to make a better world for all. Show us the way and guide us with your love and caring. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. If you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Let's take a look at the minutes from the previous meeting. You had a chance to look at those, everybody? Entertain any comments or questions?
Move to approve.
A motion to approve the minutes by Master Caywood. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Master Cullen. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. And next we have to approve some bills, and Mariah is waiting out there. Here she comes.
Good morning. So real quickly, we had something added yesterday, so I've got a little paper copy here. It was a quarterly payment for the senior citizens, so just so that way you can see that that's been added. So.
This is in addition to the bills that came in.
Yes, and it will be in the total that I present, but it, where like I said, where I was just given it yesterday, it won't be in that packet that you all got out, so I wanted to make sure you could see it. Okay. So the total I have for bills, including what you just received, is $214,558.32, with our standing orders having been paid out at $608,210.82.
All right.
Move we pay the bills as presented. Second.
Motion to approve the bills as presented by Master Gaines, seconded by Magistrate Short. Questions, comments?
What's the amount we're paying senior citizens?
It's 4 quarterly payments of that,
$18,750.
$18,750.
This is for the second quarter of this year. We did not have, we didn't have, if I remember correctly, we didn't have their email request, and it was presented to us yesterday in a timely fashion earlier, so it was just presented as a copy to show that they've made the request in a timely manner.
Right. Okay. Call the question.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mariah. All right, Mr. Arlene, the budget transfers.
That is me. And hey, what do you know? I did not staple my information together this time, so I have it right on top. All right, I have cash transfers totaling $229,468.37, and a little bit of this is just some housekeeping.
Make the motion we approve the cash transfers as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Magistrate Gay, second by Magistrate Cullen to approve the cash transfers as presented. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, then I have, some just back and forth journal transfers to cover everything. Transfers, not fours. They total $34,645.64.
I'll make that motion as well.
Second.
Motion made by Magistrate Gay, second by Magistrate Caywood to approve the budget transfers as presented. Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. All right, now it's up to me, and what I would like to do is entertain comments from the Detention Center Committee. Magistrate Ellis.
With respect to the gentleman sitting to my left?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because I also have my report for later on.
Yeah, that's later on.
Well, as chair of the jail committee, I'm just very honored to see that both James is sitting here and his father James also. The work that is being done at our jail and detention center to help men who are addicted to alcohol, drugs, become productive citizens back into our community, to become taxpayers. We have great cooperation also because of James' leadership at the jail in terms of coordinating with employers in the community when these men have served their time and are prepared to come back out and re-enter society. And it's just deeply gratifying to know the Christian atmosphere that is being conducted there, and the men who are finding a new life when they come out. I'm just very gratified that we have the opportunity to have James here today to honor him. I defer to my colleague also on the jail committee, Magistrate Gay.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to echo your sentiments. It is a tremendous program. It's been recognized as an outstanding program by those that evaluate and kind of check on these types of programs. So we're very appreciative of all the work that you do for us in this community and for the helping to provide people with a second chance, basically, sometimes a third chance and a fourth chance, but that's something that I think we all believe deeply in, that's important thing for us to do and provide in our detention center. And so with that, I would make the motion that we recognize this with a certificate of appreciation from the Boyle County Fiscal Court, and in particular, Judge Howard Hunn.
We have a motion to approve an award of a certificate to James Hunn, made by Magistrate Gay, second by Magistrate Ellis. Would anybody like to, before I invite the judge to come up and make a few remarks, would anybody else like to have any comment?
I have one more comment, Judge.
Okay.
Being honored to also serve on our Constitution Square Committee, I would like to say, using the old cliche, that serving with the elder, Mr. Hunn, the apple hadn't fallen very far from the tree. So, thank you both.
Magistrate Caywood.
Well, I've had the pleasure of working with Mr. Hunn, and I know and recognize and agree with everything that's been said about his work at the detention center, but I also want to recognize the fact that he works very closely with ASAP.
Yes.
And that's an important part of rehabilitation of people who are in need of help, and that needs to equally be recognized also, and we thank you, sir, for that.
I agree 100%. All right.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir, please. Absolutely.
We appreciate James Hunn for his dedication, really mostly for his love for God. You know, if we didn't have love for God, then we couldn't love other people. And that's just part of it. The more you love, the more it comes back to you. So we appreciate your work, we really do. And I know our church does, so.
And we are grateful to have you here. I mean, looking at his, you know, what his career and where he could be anywhere he wants to be in this world.
Yep.
And the fact that he chose to come back to Danville, his hometown, to serve his community, to serve his fellow man, speaks volumes. You know, a lot of us, you know, just go out there and try to obtain fame and, you know, glory and stuff like that. But you know, he's not that way. He actually likes to glory our Father in heaven and glorify Him. And so, I'm grateful for him, and I'm grateful to call him a friend. So I'm glad he's here. I'm glad we're doing this. So thank you.
And I think it's also appropriate to
You've had
mention.
your time.
I think you'll like this. With our jailer Brian Wofford and James and others, the judge coordinating on Good Friday, there were, I believe I'm correct because I watched the films, 5 different pastors all day long out at our detention center. And what was the count of men who came to Christ that day? It was
50.
Wow, that's just
There's
extraordinary.
7 desires to
So,
be baptized.
both the two of you, Brian and James, and Chad as well, I know was instrumental in that. So thank you all for that. Judge.
All right, well, thank you. Now, if there's no other comments, we'll have a vote. All those in favor of presenting this recognition and this certificate to James Hunn, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. There is no opposition, it's unanimous. So, Jailer Wofford, you have the podium, sir.
Well, you know, it's James. Well, let me back up. You know, a couple months ago, we actually received 100 in our SAP program. We're always in the top 3 of the state, which James helps out with, which is unheard of to receive 100 in that. So, of course, James is my director over our reentry program. And a couple weeks ago, I had an exit interview with a lady from the Department of Corrections, and she was telling me that we received the only 100th in the state, a perfect score in the state for our reentry program.
That deserves applause.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, she is telling me all these wonderful things about James Hunn and what an amazing job he does. And when she's finished, I'm like, well, of course, that's why I hired him. So that, and partly because his dad's a Marine, a fellow Marine, that had a lot to do with it as well. But you know, James has the skills, he has the abilities, he has the talent, but most importantly, he has the heart to serve. And I don't think he would be successful without his heart. I don't think we would be as successful without his heart and his passion for what he does with working with our men out there in our reentry program. And he does just an incredible job, and we're fortunate to have him in Boyle County. I'm fortunate to have him serving with me at the detention center, and he is definitely a blessing to our community. So thank you, James.
Thank you. Well, I'm gonna go this to the right here. That we have a certificate that we want to present James today in recognition of these accomplishments and these accolades that have been so eloquently spoken. What we have here is the Distinguished Service Award for what he has done to help make Boyle County be on top of the list and with the Department of Corrections and all that he is responsible for. So James, this is the certificate that this court has just voted on unanimously to present you with a Distinguished Service Award. Know that James Hunn has performed diligent, loyal, outstanding service to the citizens of Boyle County. Therefore, it be a recommendation of the Boyle County Fiscal Court that he be granted this Distinguished Service Award as a token of grateful appreciation of fellow citizens and testament thereof, witnessed this 26th day of April 2022, signed by myself, the county attorney, and the fiscal court clerk. So, James, congratulations. Thank you. You want to say anything? This is your time.
Okay, sir, I will.
Did
Thank you.
did
guys.
everybody get in the picture that
Thank you.
Nick wanted to?
Oh, excuse me. So do you want in the picture? Do you want in the picture?
The committee.
I would have gotten in there. I don't know if I don't want to make
You wanna
everybody.
read?
You want
I don't make everybody get up. I mean, I'll
you
go.
should.
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
you
I think
should.
the county attorney.
I didn't know.
Because I think Chris plays a, he
Absolutely.
plays a great part in there. He does. I do it again.
Here, let's get do it again.
And let's do it with the map behind us to show the county and the flag.
All right.
Just block the blue part.
Fix it.
You're killing
I will.
I know. You need to work at Glamour Shots.
Come on.
Here we go. Do a horseshoe. Get in here, Tom.
We're getting,
We'll
Mr.
get Pops
Hunn
in
too.
here. Pops, get over here beside.
James, let's see
Yeah,
your
yeah.
side.
Yeah, this is much.
Here you can get. Thanks.
There you go, yeah. We'll get side by side there.
Get in here. Get in here.
You gotta have a good breakage of the Air Force. Get a good Marine in there.
Bus drivers.
2, 3. Great, thank you.
I can tell you how to silence that thing.
You what?
I can tell you how to silence that so you don't have noise going on.
I know how to. I do know that much, Bob.
I guess when Brian asked me to come and serve as a reentry coordinator, you know, after working with the Shepherd's House and seeing that program, what our clients do, you know, I truly believe that their lives are worth saving. You know, that's the reason why we do. Everybody has made a mistake. I know all of us have, but been out there for the last almost 3 years, it's amazing the potential that these men have. And many of them just never had anybody to believe in them. But we're there Monday nights. I was there till about 10 o'clock Friday night because we had a graduation. But we do it because we do love people, magically short. And that's been our goal, to give them the tools. And actually, when the lady said, well, your outbrief, she was there one night till almost 9 o'clock when we was doing portals. And she said, well, once she got everything together, she said, you need to make sure your jailer and the chief deputy is there. I'm like, okay. And she wouldn't tell me why, but when we did, I was stunned that we are the only one in the state that received a 100% across the board. But that's a blessing, you guys. I believe that shows, and as I tell the guys, you know, they are in jail, they have potential. Many of them have been beat down, and we care, and I keep telling them, this has been the heart of our jailers since day one, is to give you tools to succeed. And that's our job, is just to give them the tools and to encourage them. And even as some of the guys that have graduated over the last 3 years, to see them progressing, getting good jobs, getting back with their families, that has been our goal. To, if we can just save one, that's a blessing. But I thank God we've had quite a bit of the guys that are, and they contact me and say, Pastor, and I was sharing not too long ago, one of them he had texted me via Facebook and said, we just appreciate that somebody gave us the chance and said that somebody cares about us. So that goes a long way. And if it had been for the fiscal court, the county supporting not only the Shepherd's House, but also what we're doing in the jail, it has made a tremendous difference in our community. So that's the word we just want to continue to spread. Everybody's life is worth saving. Give them the opportunity and the tools to continue to do right, be productive citizens, pay them taxes like we all do, you know. But it's just been a blessing to serve, and that's been my life, to continue to serve our community. So thank you for this, and of course, I always give praise to my pops. You know, I thank God for a godly father. Amen. That it gave me because many of the men, they've never had that. And so, and I just share, you know, I thank God for my dad, but like I said, the things that I didn't teach my sons in trial and error, God has given me another chance to help some of them guys at the jail. But I appreciate this, and thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good day.
Yeah.
Y'all need to the jail. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys so much. He's gonna stay.
He's gonna stay.
He's used to sitting through these
All
things.
right, okay. Thank you guys.
All right.
He was fresh off the Danville City Commission meeting last night, and he's ready to correct us too.
Yeah.
He hasn't said anything wrong.
Give it
Good morning,
time.
Miss Trille.
Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody?
Good. How are you today?
Good. Me and Missy matched today.
Hey, we do. We're bringing on the spring, aren't we?
Thought I was gonna get pinched.
Not St. Patrick's Day. Okay, so you all got my first quarter report, and it's just for your all's acknowledgement. You don't have to approve anything, and everything's pretty much on schedule. Last year.
You want anything to acknowledge it, or just?
Yeah,
Okay.
just to
I'll make a motion, we
make a motion, we accept and
accept the
acknowledge
report,
it.
yep.
Second it.
I'm sorry.
Okay, made by Manager Cohen, second by Manager Short. Discussion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Good deal. Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
You too. All right. Sheriff.
Another show.
Howdy, it's getting there. It's a process.
Are you lifting weights yet?
No, I'm still doing like passive motion. I can't do that.
Can you do a fast draw?
No, I'm just gonna get it out. It's just for show right now. Just for looks.
Somebody throw some at real quick.
Yeah, I throw it left-handed. We finished up collecting taxes. I'll cover that real quick. We were up about 99.3 or 4%, with a little over 100,000 outstanding that we turned over to the clerk's office. So it's about how we've done for the last few years. Pretty successful in collecting, which is where some of our money came from in this first quarter, is the people that paid after January, February, March. Other than that, we're still early in our small budget season, and not a whole lot of line items covered here, just pretty much the same budget that we had last year. It's ticking along about like it was the same last year. So
What was the percentage, 99 point what?
I don't have the 3 or 4. It was a little over 100,000 out of little over 19 million that we collect. So it's a little over 100,000 outstanding. So
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
That's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Yes.
It really
And
is.
it's not anything that we do. It's the citizens that are coming in and paying them.
Yeah.
We'll look on the list towards the end, and if we know somebody and say, hey, you hadn't paid them, we may give them a call. If we know them, just have a way to
But
get hold of them.
that's a difference maker, as you well know.
Sometimes it is, yeah.
I-
Sometimes it
is a
helps, yeah.
difference.
And sometimes they appreciate it. Sometimes they're like, I just don't have the money,
Yeah.
Okay, we're sorry. We just want to remind you.
Sure.
So.
Your packing may encourage them to pay.
I try not to use that as a coercive device. Yeah.
While we're on that, could I throw out there that maybe you and the judge meet with the new superintendent of Danville Schools to see
It
if
might
we
be
can
worth,
get
it might be worth a
revenue,
visit.
Sure.
Yeah.
get their
Good
business,
idea.
because that would help your revenue stream. So
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and that's the problem, is finding.
just a thought.
Yeah.
No, that's a good thought.
Yeah.
It's a good thought.
Make
Let's
a-
do the same thing we did with.
I'll make a
with-
motion, we acknowledge the
Yes.
sheriff's quarterly
Okay,
report.
made by Manager Gay and seconded by Manager Cohen. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you.
You can bring that down later.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
Someone give Phil decaf, is that what's going on here?
Do what?
Someone give Phil decaf, is that what's going on here?
What, cause he's a little bit slow on the draw or what?
I did it, it was leaded.
It was leaded.
He just laid back today.
All right, next we have, Steve, and Steve is he out there waiting, or we're gonna do, okay, Jamie?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we approve the comp time.
Second.
All right. We have a motion on the floor to
Speaking
approve
of
the
being
comp
slow on
time
the draw.
agreement for Michael Boyd, made by
I'm
Magic
still waiting
Gay,
for
seconded by
Steve.
Magic Sanders. He's picking up the speed now. All those, any discussion? Excuse me.
Touche.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries. Next, we have Miss Angie on the agenda.
Come on, gentlemen.
I had Dwayne come into my rear.
Environmental
Someone's
Services
coming in
Director.
on me.
I'm gonna
You almost got
switch
shot.
around. I'm gonna
Okay, go ahead.
introduce.
Go ahead.
Finally, I have 2 full-time employees that we've hired after 2.5 months. I finally found me 2 willing to work with me in Geneva up there. But we have Troy Guinn and
Troy,
we have Michael Boyd.
Michael,
They're
Welcome.
2 fine fellas here so far. They ain't run off the door after Geneva today, so. And Michael is helping, he's learning how to do the DAR, the Dead Animal Removal Program also, so
Okay.
he'll be a backup for that, and hopefully he'll He'll last, if not, we're gonna push Troy into it, so. But they're all yours. I'd like to have approval to,
I'll make that motion.
to hire him.
Second. We have a motion to hire by Magistrate Simmons and seconded by Magistrate Short, which are all both members of the committee for environmental services. And is there any questions or comments? Look, I'm gonna tell you, I had a long talk with Angie last week, and I am so thankful that she has found these gentlemen to help out, because this will help bring into focus a lot of things that have not really slipped through the cracks, but it allows us to pay more attention to more things with more people available to us.
Absolutely.
Is that a good way of saying it, I
yes,
think?
good way of saying it.
So,
We're doing well, but we could be doing better.
right.
And this,
Right,
and
we
that
gotta find a
extra,
truck.
and the extra help.
And we're honored to
Does that
have
help?
such a good employee.
Amen.
Yeah, yeah. So, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries unanimously. Welcome and thank you, gentlemen.
All right, you can go back to
Thanks,
Geneva. I know she's just chomping at the bit for you.
You got a break for a little bit till Angie comes back.
Oh, that's not me they worry about, it's Geneva.
I find that hard
See,
to believe.
he's shaking his head, Geneva.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, the truck, we know we did do bids again, and the bids came in. I think they have them in their packet. I was talking to Darlene this morning, so she thought she had found all the money, but it can't. Our recycling grant money cannot be used for trucks, for any kind of vehicle. So that's just
So
a
we're
given.
still on mission looking to see where we can get the money?
Yeah. Honestly, at this point in time, it would look a little bit like some would come out of reserves.
Do you hear that, everybody? It looks like if we do the truck bid, to get the money for her to have the truck which she needs.
So for
it would have to come out-
clarification, if I remember correctly, what did you have budgeted for the truck?
I think we had put in at the time 25,000
That
because
sounds
that's
right.
before everything
That
Yeah,
sounds
Scott-
went through the ceiling.
Yeah, you're right.
And now we're at
42,
42.9.
yes.
She
And,
needs-
and this is a new one though. This is
A
they
2022.
didn't have no used one because we asked, Dwayne helped me do the bid specs, and we asked anywhere from, like 19, 20, 21, we even asked for a used one.
You only got
He
one
said-
bid back, huh?
We only
Yeah,
got one
one
bid,
bid.
and I put them in Frankfurt and everywhere. I called around and sent them to different folks. Neil Huffman in Frankfurt, Don Franklin in Somerset. I done quite a few of them, and this is all that came back.
But, you're asking for a regular cab?
That's all we got back.
That's all we got a bid on. It would be better if we had more than a regular
You
cab.
need,
That's all.
you need a crew cab.
But now in the budget, I have asked for a replacement for Marty's truck in next year's budget, because that truck, which is litter, which actually hauls, the extra, that's when I would actually need a double cab,
Yeah.
so. We haven't approved the budget yet either. I don't know if the budget's been approved yet or not,
It
so.
has not yet.
So that's another. But it's whatever you all, think, and
I'd like to see you get a crew cab, but regular cab's not gonna be very.
well, if the budget passes for, next year where the other ones, where Marty's truck's in that for the litter and everything, we could use this one and then get a crew cab next one, or we can just wait. We've waited this long, so it's just.
You need a truck, period.
Yeah, we need a truck. We need two trucks, but one will help, but if we need to wait, then like I said, we've waited this long.
I mean, I hate to be the one, but that's a lot. That's a double of what we had planned on spending.
Oh, what?
And
what do you do?
I'm not saying it's you looking to spend,
Oh,
But-
I'm appalled by the price. I'm one of these people, I've never had a new vehicle because I don't like the price of them. I don't, they're a dead investment as far as I'm concerned, but, it's one of the things you have to have them.
What I just mentioned to
They'll give you double your vehicle price now, but then you
Yeah.
can't afford to buy the new one. It's,
I know.
times 5.
what I just mentioned to Cullen is, every day I drive by, and Bob Allen has about 24 used trucks parked right there on the split of 150, 127. Did we pursue any of those?
Well,
Yes.
They're high too.
They're probably more.
if they're on that front line, they're more, but
Yeah, I was even shocked it was that low for a brand new 22.
I know she needs one, but I don't know, I don't know what to do. I mean,
and
you
the
know,
fact that we have to dip in reserves.
If we think it's at high now, it's gonna be higher.
Well, I think in the next 6 months you're gonna start seeing some reprieve, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, we can just go ahead and put the 2 in the budget and,
Please,
I mean,
For
that,
the
Darlene
for the
would.
budget going forward,
let's do
it'd
that.
be 2 trucks and,
We're close to the budget time.
I was gonna say July
For 2
one's
months,
the new
yeah.
Let's
budget,
just
so,
hold
I
off.
mean, I don't have a problem with that. I
Yeah.
mean, like I
So
said,
you-
we've made
you
it this
fine with
long.
that?
Well, we've made it this long,
Yeah,
so
I'm
I
sorry.
think we can, well, I understand.
I know you do, but
I hate to price some myself. We got this, yeah, we need one, but I don't think another 2 months is gonna hurt out then we can go for 2, and maybe by then market will bottom out a little bit. And
Well, you're hoping inventory's gonna be available at that point. That's really what you're dealing with, is you're dealing with a lack of inventory.
the lack of inventory.
usually, August, September, they bring the new ones out, and hopefully.
And to support your comments, Stuart Powell just offered me a lot more than I paid for that truck 4 years ago.
Yeah, but
And
what's
it
the
was
new one gonna
and it
cost
was a
you with
used-
that?
And it was a used truck when I bought it, so I understand what you're saying.
I wouldn't buy one now to save my life. Matter of fact, I'd just put $700 in my old one. But that's, half of the payment probably, so.
So what does the court wanna do?
And let's just push it into next budget cycle.
That means adding another truck or push it in, the 25, carry it
Right.
forward
Yeah, carry that forward.
Unless we can find
for
something,
a second truck.
unless we can find something that's feasible for $25,000.
Well, I know she's gonna keep looking.
Yeah.
And willing to accept used. We'll just cast a wider net to see if anybody comes up.
Yeah.
So in theory, we could come back and help you out before the budget.
It could.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, I don't see it happening with
I
the price
understand.
of them, but.
Since we don't approve this much money, you might be able
But
to
with
find.
2 months left for a new budget,
Might be able to find a real good
I
used
think we'll be
truck for
okay.
that, so.
Need a
We
motion
check
to
it
not
in.
accept, I'll make a motion we do not accept the bid.
Okay.
Second.
All right, a motion to not accept that bid, made by Magic Cullen and seconded by Magic Gay. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries unanimously. But this is with the acknowledgement by the court that this money will transfer forward and it will incur a need of a second truck in the new budget.
That's fine. Darlene, make the notes on that, would be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mike, you're up. Mike Rogers, Director EMS.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Fiscal Court.
Good morning.
Morning, Mike.
First agenda item is Stryker. It's our PM contract that we do annually. All it does is, it's kind of a no-worry contract where if the PM's included, the preventive maintenance, and then also if anything breaks, it's covered. So it should be in your packet.
Any deductible?
No, no
Good.
deductible.
Good.
We've used it. This is a really great service. It really is a great service. We get new batteries, everything's free.
I'll make a motion we approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the Stryker preventive maintenance contract by Magic Ellis, second by Magic Cullen.
Nope, other way.
Other way Cullen,
Left it.
and then seconded by Magic Ellis, excuse me. So, any questions, comments, or discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Next agenda item is to consider hiring full-time Elijah Cochran. He was here at the last court meeting.
Make that motion we approve.
Second.
Have a motion to approve, Magic Cullen, seconded by Magic Short. Any comments or questions? We've already met the gentleman. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries unanimous.
The last thing on the agenda is the paramedic tuition. This is something that we've had a long history of doing. when we had our own paramedic program, we would send people to that program. Now we've been sending it to outside programs. The program director was actually here at our last EMS committee meeting. And we got to ask lots of questions, learn about the program. It's basically the tuition's covered, and then we have a contract that's signed that they'll continue to work for us for at least 2 years. 2 years after the certification. And I'll just tell you, my experience is when you grow them from home, they usually stay. So,
Make a motion, we approve.
Okay.
Second.
A motion to approve the paramedic tuition, which we've done historically in the past, maybe Magic Cullen second, but Magic Caywood. So any questions, comments, discussions?
Is there a stipulation that they stay for a certain amount of time? Since we
2 years. 2 years.
You gotta miss that, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
All right.
How much is that?
it's the total. It's split up between two, but it's 7,600.
It's an investment.
It is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Just a real quick operational update for the court. We ended up finishing last month with 532 runs. It's been a really busy time for us, so we're keep moving on. We're still above that 500 threshold, which we've been since last April. So,
if you see our EMS crew, paramedic crew, really thank them. I was hanging out with Mike yesterday at a scene over off of 150, and just the day he told me that they were having, I just cannot fathom. So I greatly appreciate what you all do. And that was the second run-in I had with our EMS crew. You know, I had one earlier just at Walmart, and you know, Captain Mattingly was there, really trying to help a lady out that just, she didn't want to go to the hospital, but he was really. I think any other service would have probably left her a long time ago, but he probably spent a good half hour to an hour with her, just really trying to get her over to the hospital, but she didn't want to go. So anyway, but it's kind of stuff they deal with every day.
Uncompensated care with the tough budget situation that everybody's in now, are we running about the same as we always do? Or?
I think you mean like as far as our
debts that aren't paid for ambulance runs? Yeah,
that stays about consistent. We've actually collected more this year just because of our runs that are up. So I think we'll end up, you know, finish it up higher than normal. Yeah.
And I spoke yesterday with Mike about the seminar that we had with CAECO. The House Bill 777, we're going to be well notified in advance of the regulations, because if you've never been involved in that process in Frankfurt, folks will come in and try to rewrite what the General Assembly did to what they wanted in any given piece of legislation. Mike and I will be coordinating on that.
Yeah, and I want to be clear about that. The 777, something I talked about in our EMS committee meeting, 777 is going to make it more difficult on the county and EMS in general. So
we need to work on that interlocal agreement between us and the city.
Yes,
right then. And right now, have you started drafting, anybody started drafting any kind of language on that?
No, but we need to, you're right, we need to start doing that.
Hey, one quick question. It's not on the agenda. What's Jada's status right now?
We are still waiting to hear back from CAECO about, the judge and I had a conversation in our budget meeting about maybe using some of the opioid.
When we get the money, yeah.
If that's possible. Other than that, we've not been able to find a grant that would fund her for the next year. So if somebody can reach out to CAECO, we've tried. I've not heard when that money. I think the opioid settlement money is going to be distributed through CAECO, and we haven't got a timeline on that. So I don't know if we have a connection there. we can get some information, because if we can figure out when it is, then we can consider that during the budget process.
Who are you dealing with?
Well, Jada's called. I think she's reached out to Shelley. I don't know if there would be a better person that might be.
Well, Shelley wouldn't approve it, but I would call and talk to Ornstein.
Okay.
Have him run it down.
Okay. I'll do that today. Okay.
It actually is gonna come out of the Attorney General's office.
Right.
Is it not, that the formula or whatever?
That's correct. Yeah, it was on the news just the other day.
Okay.
So Lawrence seen, I told you to call him. I knew he didn't have anything else to do today.
I will. Yeah.
Tell him if he doesn't follow up quickly, then Tom's gonna call him.
Okay.
All right, thank you,
Thank
Mike.
you, appreciate y'all.
All right, Dwayne, you're up next, our Public Works Director.
Moving right along.
Make a motion with deny.
We'll do it quickly. We advertised for bids once again. Is that time of year again? It's been a year since we advertised for preventive maintenance bids on our HVAC system.
Got two.
And I'll preface that in what we did. We received two bids, one from Perfection Group, which we're very familiar with, who installed our system and maintained it for several years for us. And then the other was from Comfort Systems out of Lexington as well. You know, we did advertise locally. And circulated it locally. And then, of course, the outside groups, they have a means that ad gets circulated further. Anyway, and I've also talked to Brian, and Brian's okay with going along with the bid for the jail. So we received two bids, and the low bid from Perfection Group, as you have in front of you, I think, $4,000 per year for the courthouse, $3,000 per year for the GSC, which is EMS and Public Works and recycling, and then $3,200 a year for the detention center.
Are you making a recommendation that we just do 1 year?
I mean, if they're willing to hold that price, and we're familiar with the company, and they did a good job for us before, I'd recommend that we consider a multi-year. Whether we want 3 or 4 or 5, it's, you know.
You know, with the situation, and all we can go on is what we are currently experiencing. Everything's going up daily. And I don't know if I want to set ourselves to a 5-year, but I would
like the 3-year.
like to consider the 3-year option, because that way we know what we're doing for the next 3 years, and it won't go up.
I'll make a motion, we approve the 3-year contract from Perfection Group.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Magic Cole and second by Magic Ellis to approve a 3-year contract for both for the courthouse, government service center, and the detention center from Perfection Group.
And,
Discussion.
And they do have a gentleman who lives in Junction City who services our property. So he's very convenient for us. If we need to call him for something, he's always really available to us. So he's always been good to us.
They've been a good group to work with.
They have.
They have been.
They give us good service every way.
Yes, they have.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Judge, Dwayne and I have communicated, and CAECO has just released to us bid information on salt for the coming year.
Oh, yeah.
And with that in mind, I'd like to have Dwayne explain what we have, and then I'll make the motion to.
Well, it was late last week, so we didn't really get this into the agenda.
Right, we received it about Thursday of last week, we received an email from CAECO, and the dates for the bid are in the middle of May. And if we wait till the next meeting, if I'd waited till the first meeting of May to bring it to you, we wouldn't have enough days to advertise. And so we still have to advertise just like we take any other bids, even though they're doing the bidding process. And so it's really just an approval to advertise for bids for our salt.
Second.
We have a motion to approve to advertise and participate in the CAECO reverse auction for salt. Made by Magic Ellis, second by Magic Sammons. Questions, comments, or discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How's the mechanic search going?
The hearing for applications closed Friday.
I guess that'd be a Steve
So
question,
we are reviewing applications now, and we have a few online that we haven't seen yet, so we're going to get those today or tomorrow, and so we will begin scheduling interviews.
How many do you think we ended up with?
Probably about 15 applications, and we're probably going to. Right now, we've narrowed it down to about 4, maybe 5.
We're Mike shaking his head. He's anxious to see somebody come on.
Yeah, well, that's right. Mike's involved with it too.
We were working together on it, so we're
Yes.
gonna.
Are we past cold patch and everybody up and operational with asphalt now?
Well, as far as just patching a pothole, we will still use coal patch.
You will, okay.
Because the material's good and it remains good. So we just have had a call this morning about a couple of potholes, so.
Thank you.
I think we've got most of them in pretty good shape, and we do have a couple of road cuts we need to let pass, but we can do that properly.
Appreciate it.
Dwayne, since
We'll
you're
be able to
on
pick up a
this,
large quantity.
we want to approve the bills. What's this, Bergen Gate? Am I lost on that, or where is this? We approved the bill for welding on a gate, the Bergen Gate. What was that? Mobile, it's a mobile unit. I didn't recognize it. Welding company.
I wonder.
I don't remember where it was, but it's on their bills.
I got the
For
bill.
like, for the convenience center?
Yeah, it was going out into the road.
Yeah, so it's for the Mitchellsburg Convenience Center. That's what it was, I believe. Where we brought a mobile unit in that can weld on the, that type of pipe. We don't have.
Whereabouts?
Mitchellsburg Convenience Center.
Oh, okay.
To repair the gates that enter for that center. They're rusting and falling apart. And so we had to get somebody that can do that type of welding on, with that type of metal.
Would be about cheap to buy a new gate.
I don't know, I didn't know what it cost. No, probably not. The gates are pretty expensive.
Those aren't your standard farm gate out there. They're big steel.
Chain link gates, but still.
Okay, I just wondered that.
I feel pretty certain.
Didn't bring them out.
I knew we looked at it and we looked at trying to weld it, but once we saw what it was, it's your standard fence material. We don't have the equipment to weld on that type of.
All right, thank you, Dwayne, appreciate it. All right, Counselor, let's see, I think you're next.
All right, today's supposed to be the second reading of Ordinance 241.0. I would ask to pass that for another meeting, for the next meeting. The Ethics Board is meeting this Thursday. There's something I brought to their attention, which I think needs to be clarified. Specifically, it's under Section 17, which deals with political activity. I think they need to address whether or not, because within the ordinance itself, it talks about no political campaigning on county property, and I know a lot of people have signs on their vehicles out in the parking lot, so I think it needs to be clarified so nobody gets in trouble. We just need it to be spelled out, and it's pretty unclear right now, so I think that they need to they need to talk about that and come and advise us what they think is best. So.
I don't think that it being on the vehicles is a problem, because the vehicles is actually considered their personal property.
I don't necessarily think so either.
Yeah, it's kind of like so the city of Danville no longer issues tickets because they don't have a way of marking the vehicles to say they've been there for a certain amount of time because of some other case law that happened where you can't actually physically put a chalk mark on somebody's tire. It's their private vehicle or whatever. So I would think this would kind of apply the same, but I'm fine with holding off on it.
I think it needs to be clarified. Also too, what if somebody were to have a big sign on their vehicle or something in their truck or wherever, and they just park their vehicle there, like in our courthouse, for like days on end or whatever like that. I don't think
that makes sense.
That's just something that they need to talk about.
Yep, that's fine.
It's better to handle it now than it is to wait for it to become an issue later.
Right. And I don't want it to be an issue.
We don't want it to be
I don't want anybody to get in trouble. I just want it to be spelled out.
So,
and I think that would be best for them just to.
So you want us to continue on second reading to the next court session?
Yes, I think so.
Do you need a motion to that effect?
It's not on the agenda.
What's that second reading?
That's for the home incarceration.
Okay, well, my bad. my numbers mixed up.
Sorry.
So talk about.
I thought we were having a second reading of that today, though. It might not show on there, but I thought we had our first reading the last meeting. So on that issue, then, if it's not technically on, that's just something that's come up.
Good deal.
Okay.
I make a motion we approve the second reading of
the home incarceration program.
1.0.
Now, as far as the home incarceration goes, after we had our first reading, we had a joint jail meeting there in Mercer County, and it went well. Ted Dean was there, and everybody's in agreement. We are anxious to put out an RFP so we can get this homework
We heard
restoration.
presentations too.
Right, yes. So we're anxious to get this going and up and going, so.
So we
I'm
will
fine with
entertain a
it.
motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 241, which is on the first.
I got that one, Jamie.
Motion made by Magic Cullen, second by Magic Gay. Now we have questions, comments, or discussions. There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and that motion carries unanimously for the second reading. All right, anything else, Council?
Apologize for getting my numbers mixed up.
Good
But we
discussion.
addressed that.
Good discussion
We
on the
needed
other
to
one.
address that anyway, so.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
Ms.
all.
Darlene, do you have any, anything for the treasurer?
Yes, me. I included in your information, like I did last quarter, list of the reserves, so you can see where everything was. Also, summary of the third quarter report is in there. Typical, nothing out of the ordinary. Also wanted to, and if anybody wants to see it, I've got the full thing in my office. Also wanted to make everybody aware, because this is something that's normally done earlier in the year, and I wasn't here at that point in time, so I just want to make sure everybody was aware. We had received a open records request for treasurer settlement and for an audit. The treasurer settlement is in my office, and I do have a copy of it if anybody does need that. And then that will be sent out in the appropriate amount of time. There was also a request made for the 2021 actual audit. That has not been completed yet, so that will not be going out. But just wanted to make everybody aware that treasurer settlement is there.
How's the budget coming along?
Coming fairly well. That was the other thing I was gonna say. Still lacking a few numbers. I'm gonna be going on a hunt today and tomorrow for a few things. Having to add a couple new funds, like the Senate bill fund for the county clerk's office. So I've got it written up. I just have to get it added in to the budget. It's more or less going to be kind of an in and out. And I did speak with Trille about how much she thought I should budget into that. But that will have to be a separate fund item and have a separate bank account and everything. So that's already in the works and taken care of.
Well, thank you. I know this is a hard time of year, and I'm sorry you get these open records requests from people that have nothing better to do with their time, but want to feel important, I guess. I don't know. Anyway.
That's okay, but everything's there, and we're ready to go.
When would you guess the budget be finished?
I am entering, I've got most numbers and receipt numbers entered in for most of the accounts. I'm having to add those due to the way the Excel spreadsheet is set up. I've got to make some tweaks and changes to get those two other new funds added in. Unfortunately, every day there seems to be something new that gets added. Yesterday I found out we get some FEMA money, so I've got to get that added in there. So there seems to be something new that's popping up on a daily basis. But I'm on track. I'm getting there.
So what's your ETA on the budget proposal?
I'm hoping, fingers crossed, this week, but I may have to take a couple extra days because I realized I had not requested some information from a couple people, and I may have to allot them a day or two to get that to me.
Would you guess the first week in May?
I'm guessing, yeah.
That'd be a good day.
I don't think that'll be, yeah.
ETA.
So, and I definitely want to get a copy of that out to everybody just as soon as I get that done, so that everybody can get through that. But yeah.
Thank you.
Utilize those extra people more than ever to to get you through this time, okay?
Yeah, we've been getting there.
Good,
We've been
good, I'm
getting
glad to
there.
hear it, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. So we'll go around, start over here with committee reports.
Give me a time to get my junk together, Judge. I've been working on a report for quite some time now. I'm gonna give you part A, part B will come in another month. This report is about, I call it senior citizens, bill, but they call it, gathering place now. This report was taking a lot of time to gather. The information that I'm sharing today, it's about the Senior Citizen Center, as it was called one time, and it's been renamed the Gathering Place by the current director. I'm going to omit names of the director and employees since I do not intend to harm anyone in this report. I learned from the chairman of the board that they are having their meetings by Zoom due to COVID, and that it has been hard to get a quorum together. He didn't seem to know a whole lot about the employees, especially their incomes. And I had one figure and he was guessing something else. Well, employees are all probably senior citizens themselves, but still need to be employed. They are a good group of people that I talked to, but very unhappy with what their salary was. They said that they had approached the director many times and was always told that he was looking into it or working on it. But just recently I started gathering information. They were given a 20% raise, all of them. One employee agreed to have his income lowered prior to this so that others could get a raise themselves, but this didn't happen either. The largest complaint they had was that the director was never at the center. One employee who had been there a long time stated that the director is on the premises about 15 to 18% of the time. The director would come in and said he had to go to a meeting or something else. One day he came in and said he had to get back home to be with his girlfriend because she was distraught since her cat was sick. The place is really clean and all the employees seem happy since the pay raise just recently. They're doing a good job without any management. I could write a novel on all this information I have together, but I do not want to hurt anyone. If anyone wants to talk to me about it, just let me know. And I'll give you another report later, follow up on some that I put together. So that's our report this time, Judge.
All right. You want to enter that into the minutes with a submission of your written report? We'll take a motion to.
Yes, sir. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second it.
Motion to approve and second the report into the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Is there anything else you have? That's all right. You want to take a minute so we don't backtrack? Do you want to take a minute? Do you have anything from a district report?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, thank you. That is short.
Don't have any committee report. We did ours last time.
Okay.
So, working hard on the district for new election.
Okay, all right. Sounds good. That's good.
Yes, the Finance Committee met our quarterly meeting, I guess it is, on April 13th, 2022 at 9 a.m. It was myself, Magistrate Cullen, Treasurer Darlene Lanham, and the meeting started with discussion about the status of the budget and upcoming deadlines with the requirement of having the budget to the judge by May 1st and ready for first reading by the fiscal court on May 19th so that it could then be sent to the state for review by June 1st. We reviewed the input from that the budget had been given from Judge Hunt, Julie, and Jackie regarding the courthouse staffing part of the budget. We also discussed the need to get an update on the status of revenues, and we talked about the need to utilize the rest of the staff to help with some aspects of the job while the treasurer is giving her complete focus to the budget at this time. We requested that the check registry for each account be posted in a Google Doc so that the Finance Committee can review each month. And I do want to state that that has been done, and we are currently able to see and review the check registry each month, which we've done at this point in time.
Okay.
So that's occurring, and the meeting adjourned, and I would move that we accept the Finance Committee minutes into the record.
All right, have a motion to accept the Finance Committee minutes into the record, and Magistrate Gay and seconded by Magistrate Caywood. Any comments, questions, or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. How about a district report? You have anything?
I want to say that we had the pulse of the people,
Very
at
good.
Center Works, and I appreciate everybody's attendance. I thought it went very well. Had some good feedback, good discussion, and thought I appreciated, we provided lunch. I provided lunch that day and thought that went well. And
Excellent.
It was kind of a fun event to support one of our local, new local businesses in town as well. So it was a good day overall.
Yes, it was. Thank you. Thank you again for that.
Good 4th District business.
That's right.
You buying votes for lunch?
That's right.
Magistrate
Don't have to buy
Caywood.
any signs this year.
Just one thing, sir. What's the plan for us, how we will handle the P&Z ordinance that we will vote on eventually? As far as gathering information, what's kind of the game plan for that?
I would like, because we talked about that at the Pulse of the People, and then we were presented by one of the residents with a wide range of options. I would like for the court to give me what your desire is. I can have some people from the industry come in and talk to us, have a workshop, get more information, learn more about what the state and the federal government is doing through collaboration on procedures and policies, to see what all goes in the basket to comply with the proposed P&Z ordinance on solar activity. What do you guys want to do? I'm gonna open it up.
There are some good folks who had nice comments at the P&Z meetings that I went to, and that would be a good list there, which Steve could pass on. I can't remember all of them spoke, but there were some really good points made, and part of the consideration and making an informed decision.
Yeah, I think having a workshop or something along those lines to have
An informational gathering session where we can gather information.
That'd be a good way to do it.
Yeah, have some experts in the.
When do you want to do this? You want to put it together? Go ahead.
Go ahead, speak it up.
I have.
Get it out.
I'm trying. This is my filter. That stuttering is my filter. You want to give me a couple minutes?
Count to 10.
Yeah. P&Z had 3 different hearings, hours and hours of testimony. They sent us a document. The only thing I'll give in is that maybe we talk to somebody in the industry, because honestly, the conversations I've had, they expect us to go industrial on this, and they don't have a problem with it, because that's what every other place has done. Is that it's an industrial use, so that's what we're going to label it. And this idea that we've got this high bar on, it's such a high bar to get stuff done in the industrial zone, that's not true. We just have had very little of them come through. Our biggest one is the industrial park. At one point that was county, and that was agricultural, and that went through. And so I don't think we need to say that it's such a high bar going through. I just think that not many industrial projects have gone out into the county. And I think, I say we're doing us a disservice if we don't kind of follow the letters of the law and and label it what it is and go that route. But, you know, I was reading something, I guess it was Mercer County, you know, they're in the same thing we're in, you know, and the judge up there said, you know, we don't, I mean, I'm not trying to like hold back from public comment, but we've had, if you haven't, go listen to the planning and zoning meetings. We're gonna hear the same things.
You're gonna hear the same, from
that perspective, from that group that was said over and over again at the planning and zoning meeting. Well, they all lasted hours. So
I don't think the one perspective, and I haven't.
We've gotten a letter
is the
from
industry perspective on what is proposed. Nobody's heard.
And of course, the industry is going to come in and say, yeah, make it as easy as possible, you know, because if you're giving them an opportunity,
surprisingly, they may have a more realistic approach to what.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. For the conversations that I've had, you know, going out on my own and talking to a couple of these companies, you know, they anticipate that they're gonna go through things, and just like any other business that's trying to do something, they're gonna have to meet certain standards.
To have the industry come in, you'd almost have to have point counterpoint. You'd have to have the opposition, and then we're right back on a deadline of May. What is it?
July.
We've punted this down further.
I'm kind of like Magistrate Cullen. I heard that one of the meetings lasted nearly a day.
It was long. I was there.
Well, the one, because I would like to gain a little more information about what exactly would need to be required in a site development plan process. That's been one of the options that I think gives it still a pretty high bar, but not as quite of a high bar as the full-out industrial option. It's been referred to. Let me finish here. Because the reason that this is a high bar, in disagreement with what you're saying there, Magistrate Cullen, is that it would require a flume, an amendment to the comprehensive plan, and generally those industrial amendments are contiguous to other industrial areas, is the way that those are done.
But not BCIF when it was.
Yeah. It always has to start somewhere.
Yeah, but so now you've started, and so that's part of the comprehensive plan. I mean, that's 60 years ago. And so then and even the Rick House, which the conditional use permit, that basically is, adjacent or contiguous to the city, if you will. And so I just think it creates a high bar to have farmers,
high bar.
Farmers that have agricultural land out in the middle of the county that want to move in this direction. That's a reach.
How about the people that live around those things that will have direct issues with runoff?
They all get their say through the process. It still keeps the process in play through the site development plan process, and that's the part. I almost think it needs to be a little bit more of a planning and zoning workshop at this point in time to make sure we understand the language that's.
This is going to be one of those,
and that we get it right.
I told you so moments when something else comes in down the road that sues us because we keep allowing things to happen in the agricultural zone that we're not supposed to be doing in there. We didn't follow our planning and zoning, and they're going to say you let it here, you let it happen with the rick houses. Now you're letting it happen with power plants. We should be able to do it too. We're going to get sued, and then it's going to be really bad for the whole.
I disagree with that too.
Disagree all you want, but your spot right there is in the middle of the town with
we've got a strong process.
No farms in it, and no big land where anyone's coming in to just tear up, and where you have other constituents that are concerned about the runoff and the wildlife and everything else that's going to happen on there. The whole reason we have planning and zoning is to protect our neighbors, and our neighbors are speaking out in the 4th District. But I mean, if you want to listen to your friends and whatever, and side with them because they've blown up your phone, that's fine. But I'm listening to the people that actually have real valid concerns.
We enjoy an environment in Boyle County second to none, and impediments, yes. Denials, unlikely. I just think when it's industrial, you make it so, and there will be some built, and there will be some that just don't want to comply with the protections of our environment.
Have you gone out to Turkey Creek to see what they've done out there?
I have not.
You should. So I would
I've seen
recommend.
pictures of it.
I would recommend go out to Turkey Creek, and then if you have questions on other things, I would recommend you go talk to Steve Hunter, who's our planning and zoning person, who can walk you through all of those steps. But go out there and look and see, and you'll understand why people have concerns when they've stripped the first 2 layers of the soil.
No, and
off.
I'm not saying that I think that's a good project, and I'm not saying any of these are good projects. I'm just saying it
That's
always
where we're
comes
gonna end
down
up.
to this balance between the landowner's rights and the protection of the community, and that.
But it won't
that's
preclude
a-
their rights.
That's a discussion that still needs to
We're
be
still giving
had.
them an option to do it. It's not like we're saying no, but they have to go
It's a really
through.
high bar to get to that option.
You can't say that because when have we had it brought before us? You're throwing that out there, but you don't know what the bar is.
It's a pretty high bar.
Well,
And I think that's appropriate when this land,
And it should
in
be a
any
high bar.
likelihood, would never go back.
it should be a high bar, so why are you arguing against it?
No,
If
it should
is-
be a
if
high
it is
bar,
a high bar,
but that's where I think there are other options to still keep the bar high, but provide
Okay.
an option, and that's all I'm saying.
Well, I don't think this body knows, and I'm not really sure that P&Z knows all of the procedural requirements that are required for any development
Well,
like
he-
this. that
That's
we're
what I'm
discussing,
saying, too.
From the federal and state and then the county, it goes to every level. I think we need to see a cumulative impact, environmental analysis, whatever it takes. You know, there are restrictions to every development. Do we know what they all are? I don't know that we do.
What would be interesting is to see in Kentucky and contiguous states, how many have been approved as industrial, because I think it's going to be the overwhelming percentage that have been.
I'd like to know that myself.
Because that's and that would be easy to do without huge conversations, point, counterpoint, the opposition side, whether it's for or against industrial. But we would know very quickly, and we can all be educated, because I've been on the internet with it quite a bit myself. And it's not like we need more and more hours and days dedicated to it before we go up against that July deadline.
It's also important to note that our own state didn't even finish what they'd started out on this thing, so I don't know why. You know,
They had 2 bills, one in the House and one in the Senate. It didn't.
Both died.
Both died.
Well, it didn't die, it just didn't, the House, they sent it back to the House with its changes, and the House didn't like it, so the
That's
House.
the death knell.
Yeah, House never talked about it again, because they chopped it up so much because of the lobbyists, so. Anyway.
I think I proved my point that we need more discussion on this. So
Okay.
whatever the plan is, I think we need to start down that road, please. And we do have a deadline, but we moved it, we moved it down the road a little bit. But I think we need to come close to making a decision to help those who would be interested in the project. So what's the plan?
So y'all haven't given me an answer as to what you want to see or hear and from whom.
I will send you some information that I received from a gentleman who has his doctorates in electrical engineering, because I had this discussion with him a week ago. I'll send you what he sent to me, and we can share it with the folks around the table, or do with it what you want to. But he researched a lot and sent me a lot to read. And I haven't gotten into it totally yet, but I'm starting. It's just making the opportunity for a more informed decision, because this will affect a lot of folks and will affect their livelihood. So I think we need to research it very closely.
Okay. I don't disagree with that. Y'all do have a copy of the proposed P&Z ordinance change, so you have that to work with.
And I would ask that you give us enough time that, for those that haven't listened to the planning and zoning meetings, listens to them and all the discussion that went back and forth with our planning.
Would you like for us to get the link to go back from Steve and send the link out to everybody?
It's all on YouTube, you can go get it yourself.
Okay.
You know that, but
Steve
it
gets
would
on
be
YouTube.
worth everyone's time, because they did spend a lot of time. Jason and I were there for most of it.
I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel, I think is what I'm hearing on some of that. We
Well,
need new additional information.
We were there, so we have a lot of the information, but there was others who were unable to be there, and I think they need to have some time to watch it, yes.
Okay, I agree.
What's the majority of our people, what do they feel about the way this project should go? What are you hearing?
Well,
what's the majority?
The vote
That's the
was
question.
split, but the vote was split.
Well,
So there
Right.
was some on both sides. So you,
All right.
my suggestion is you spend the time to listen to the meetings and learn from that, as Jason and I did.
Planning and zoning was a 5-4 for the industrial option. So the next thing, I mean, my own 2 cents was, we have 2 representatives, it was 2 or 3.
Might be 3.
I think it's on plate. I would reach out to all the representatives from the fiscal court on planning and zoning and see how they voted and why. That's probably your easier fast track than watching all 15 hours of what went down, so.
Okay, so I'll communicate with each of you on some ideas that I come up with after hearing your discussions on trying to provide you with additional information to make an informed decision on whether to accept the industrial option, keep it agriculture as, as it currently is, or whatever.
And go out to Turkey Creek, it's in Lancaster, it's 450 acres. That's how they built it, that's how they got through the process. Everyone keeps talking about like, oh, it takes so long to get the process. It took them 2 years. A lot of states now are trying to fast track these options, fast track things. I know New York and several other states are trying to fast track solar to make it easier on everybody so it doesn't take as long. But just take a look at that facility and understand that facility only puts out 50 megawatts of power a day.
Yeah, my understanding is Garrett County doesn't have planning and zoning.
And we keep this up and we're not going to either.
So that's a big difference there.
Well, but it sounds like we're trying to be planning and zoning instead of listening to their recommendations.
This has always been, there's always this check and balance to the planning and
Yes,
zoning
but
process.
but your CUP option doesn't give us that.
I'm not talking about a CUP option here, I'm talking about a site plan development option.
Well, we still don't get it with the site plan option. Everything just goes through them and then that's it. So, anyway, yeah, take a ride out, you'll see 50 megawatts is all that 450 acres produced. Look what it did to the land, look what it does to the things that are gonna be going around it. And that's my biggest problem, is what's gonna happen to the surrounding area, floods, runoff, things like that. Talking about people's houses, and you guys were insurance, foundation issues, the amount of extra light that's gonna be coming in because, they're gonna have to cut down trees and everything. It's the people around that I'm concerned about, I don't mind solar, but this is a lot. And just to put it in perspective, 5 acres of coal does about 2,000 megawatts a day, so, anyway.
Judge, you have dealt with some of the companies, I think, or you've been close to it. Does part of the issue, the contents of a contract that a landowner would sign with a company? Because, will they vary?
Yes, they do, because I've talked to several people.
Maybe, okay.
They vary to some degree, but a central component to each land lease agreement from the industry is an addressing of the reconstitution of the land to return it to its original condition at the end of the term of lease. Now, everybody says, how do you know they're still alive? How do you know these companies still exist? Well, pretty much one thing's for sure, most people who are in a position to sign a lease will not be here, okay, when the lease ends. But how can anybody in any business say that if you go back and look in history, names that we grew up with no longer exist? You can't plan for obsolescence or absence of those in the future. All you can do is do what is best available to your current time, and this is a legal issue, your current time in history. If you plan and in a contractual agreement to restore the land to its original condition that's addressed in the lease, with a provision to guarantee that restoration, that's all we can do. I can't guarantee that anybody's gonna be alive in 40 years.
Well, one of the issues that came up was the removal of topsoil Right, Jason?
Right down to
Right
the,
down.
right down.
And I
to
think
the
that's,
stone.
so can you get it back to where it was originally, 20 years later?
Not like what Turkey
Not-
Creek's doing.
No,
but
it'll never go back.
I've never seen that lease. On a lease that I'm familiar with, that is not part of any discussion of the lease.
I can almost guarantee they're betting the fact that the landowner won't be available. But you're talking about 3 to 6 foot footers, cement footers that go down into the ground, and they're spaced out about every 4 feet. So they've ripped off the topsoil, and especially out where these are being proposed in my district. I mean, it's rolling, so they're gonna have to flatten it a good amount. They've already said they'd have to flatten it. So they'll take off that topsoil, they'll put those concrete footers in there, and there's been some discussion about the smart growth group where they could do something different, but these guys are gonna come in and try to do stuff for the cheapest amount that they can because they're trying to retain earnings. And so, you know, if you look at how many panels they're looking at putting in, you know, you're talking about 2 to 3 concrete footers that go down 4 to 6 feet, or 3 to 6 feet each footer. That's never going back to farmland, and that was kind of one of the other things that Smart Growth Group was asking is to do that so that way it can go back to farmland. It's never going back to farmland, especially when you've taken those 2 layers of topsoil off. It's done.
I'd like to recommend perhaps the quickest way to get good intelligence on both sides of this issue, and that would be with the 5 to 4, which I actually heard was actually recorded as 5 to 3 to 1 vote. Get one of the parties from those discussions from each side of that vote. And I know one who has called me and spent nearly an hour on the phone with me, and he is highly educated about it, and have the point-counterpoint discussion that way. And we'll get educated very, very quickly with the pros and cons. And I'm very much on the grave concern about our environment and the historical viewpoints that we'll have along the lines of this. So I think that would be the simplest thing, to have a limited discussion, half hour or whatever you want to make it, Judge, but have one from each side of that vote come and comment to us.
Let me think about that, because like I say, I don't wanna go down the same path that's already been visited several times.
I don't know if Steve wants to get into all that again. No.
So, anyway, let me think about that, and I will help.
These are the types of issues that came up during the discussions, and I think everybody, in order to make an informed vote, should have the opportunity to hear. Pollinization was another thing that came up. Pollinization is an issue across the United States right now.
Huge.
And with the solar panels affected, I have no idea. But it's an issue across the states.
What Turkey Creek is doing for their pollinization is they're putting a row of strip grass, and that's their pollinization.
So, anyway, I'm not sure I want to hold up Turkey Creek as an example. It is an example, but there are a wide variance of applications by different solar developers that are less impactful than what is witnessed at Turkey Creek.
Thank you.
So, anything else there, Magic?
No, sir, I think I better not take up any more time.
That's it. All right, Magic Cullen.
Had a question I didn't get to ask during the bills. There was a lot of legal fees that I saw being paid in those bills. There was, I mean, it looked like about 4 or 5 different attorneys that we were paying legal fees on. I was just kind of curious about if y'all had an idea of what those are for. I'm happy to go bring them back up and say which ones they are, and if you want to talk to me after court, I'm fine with that,
This stuff been passed, I would say you might need to get with Chris on that.
well, I don't think Chris has anything to do with it, because
What are they?
Singleton legal fees.
The judge will make he'll sign something.
Oh,
that says that.
when we have disability actions and the judge determines that, so everybody's appointed a guardian ad litem, and if there's not funds from the person that the disability action is about, then the judge will order the state, or the county, excuse me, to pay for that. Is that what?
Yeah.
And you're speaking of the presiding judge, not our judge.
Not me.
Let's make
Yes,
that
excuse
clear
me,
to
the
the
district
public.
judge.
We're being taped.
In district court, I have to do disability actions. It's, for example, one of your wives develops dementia, and it's legal disability, and you have to go file and ask that they be determined legally disabled and that a guardian and conservator be appointed for them. So that's technically the Commonwealth kind of filing that action against the person that has potentially that disability, and
Are
person
these
gets-
employees of ours, of the county?
No, there's a list the district court has of local attorneys that get appointed to represent as guardian ad litem these persons. I mean, we don't have them too often, but a local attorney will get appointed, and there's a statute that says they can make up to X number of dollars, so it's capped, but
Well, I mean, there's, I think looking at this, there's probably about $2,000 I saw in legal fees that we paid out, and I was just kind of curious why.
Right, and that's why it's not. I can't do it. I'm the prosecutor on that, so those persons will be on the other side representing that Boyle County. I mean, they file these actions in the county in which the person resides. So they're, if the judge determines that their estate doesn't have adequate funds to be able to pay.
So the
attorney fees.
taxpayers pay for these things.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess you could argue that
Public
those persons were
representation always
taxpayers up until. I mean, they're still taxpayers.
I understand.
But yeah, that's what that would be.
Okay.
And
All right.
the amounts will vary from time to time. You will see some that will be for a lesser amount than others.
Yeah.
We always have to have a trial on that.
Okay.
Statute now provides we don't have to have a jury trial. We can have a trial by bench if all parties agree. And that's most of the time what we have. I mean, sometimes you get these cases and they're filed, and if the person's in a different county, I'm getting it moved. I'm getting it moved, transferred to whatever county that person is in, so that we wouldn't incur those fees. But or sometimes you file this, and then a week later or two, that person passes away. So there might not be the fees. Some will be less because you won't have that trial. But the guardian ad litem has to go out and actually meet with the person, whether they be at a nursing facility or at their home, and advocate for that person, looking out for the best interest. I mean, a lot of times these persons are like, no, I'm good. I don't need anybody to help me with my finances and so forth. But the guardian ad litem doesn't necessarily go along with what the person that's being charged as disabled wants. It's what they feel is the best interest of that person, and that could be contrary a lot of times to what that person wants.
All right. And while I'm being curious, sorry, Angie, Republic Services for $42,795.03. Is that just a quarterly payment to Republic Services? Monthly payment. So we pay them $50,000 a month.
Pretty much.
And that's just to collect for all of our convenience centers, or?
Collects, picks up, everything at our convenience centers it picks up.
Okay. Well, but we're also seeing a good amount of recycling.
Yes.
Credits come back in and stuff. All right. I had someone approach me the other day that said, and I'm just, apparently I've got to give a public service announcement here because this person says that the airport board in the city need to educate the county folks on the importance of the airport to this community. And we say county folks, he's referring to us. Apparently the certain individual thinks that we don't value the airport, or we don't know how significant the airport is, and we need to be more involved with the airport. So, and while you guys are watching videos on planning and zoning, maybe we should educate ourselves on the airport. I think we've all, I know talking with the airport board members, they've appreciated General Hunt, myself, and Ronnie spending a lot of time at board meetings and getting involved. So, but apparently we're not doing enough from this certain public servant individual. So make sure you spend a little time at the airport, apparently. And then I kind of want to talk about the EDA, but I kind of don't. And I'm highly disappointed in the meeting we had at well, not meeting we had, I sat in on the EDP meeting the other day, and frankly, I don't like an organization that we financially back telling us that what they're going to do and how and how they're going to allow us to interact with economic development in our county. So we have not addressed the EDP's request yet in the budget, but I firmly know where my vote will be, and I think many of you will probably be the same way especially with the dissatisfaction that we've had with EDP since I came into office. So anyway, I'll leave it with that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
While that's fresh on your mind, I'd like to speak, and you all know my history, including the vote that you had to keep me on the EDP as a voting board member, as is the judge. I too was very disappointed with some of the things that were said, and I voiced that as magistrate with a vote on the EDP board, and basically as a citizen concerned with the future direction. I know that two of our colleagues at this table right now have spent countless hours moving toward the new agreement that was voted on, I believe, two or three Mondays ago, and there was, and I voiced this to the EDP board, that I was disappointed that there was no acknowledgement of understanding of that when I know the players who were involved in it and the extensive work that they did, separate from me. The credits go to them, and to have it certified by the EDA EDP consortium that met, we've moved a long way down that trail. We've had lengthy debates ever since Magistrate Cullen and I were concerned 2.5 years ago when we got the data that showed the millions of dollars that had been spent and the 79 employees that we had lost in a 10-year span alone. And that did not include COVID data at all. So I would share the concerns expressed by Magistrate Cullen.
Do you have any committee reports?
Yes, sir, I do.
I didn't have anybody.
Okay, all right, thank you.
The jail committee met on September 2nd at 9 a.m. Attending were Brian Wofford, Chief Deputy Holderman, Magistrate Gay, and myself. The inmate count that day: Boyle County 40, Mercer 24, State 111. That's a concern, folks. I'm going to make an editorial comment right here. We listened again yesterday to two remarkable comments by Jim Henderson, the head of CACO. The extraordinary amount of money, and I heard it reported in the last week of the General Assembly. Our state has $1.9 billion in the bank, and they were able to move us from compensation of $31 and change to $35 and change for a $40 or $50 or $60 cost that we incur on behalf of the inmates who are supported by our Boyle County taxpayers. Folks, $4 almost wasn't even a consideration when the debt service that we're picking up for the state of Kentucky is so extensive. And I know that several of us are going to lobby for the next General Assembly to look at this, but it was just almost a slap in the face to think that we had $1.9 billion in the bank. Other things that were covered, you and I as taxpayers would probably argue against them when our own county, and this is with 78 or 79 county jails, are incurring that tax to the folks out there within the confines of our county borders. And I hope the public will pick up on that and help us the next time they go into regular session. Other counties in that same report, there were only 3 for a total on the day that we were meeting of 183. We are, again, partially because of budget, because the pay scales. If you have been watching the news in Louisville and Lexington with the unbelievable pay scales for the jailers and their deputies, our shortfall is part of the fact that we are 8 deputies down right now. compare that to the potential litigation when they've already had in Winchester, in Louisville, and Lexington within the last month. They've had 3 deaths within jails. If you are understaffed, your liabilities go, counselor, through the roof. So we're going to have to address that in our budget considerations. We're working on a health contract for the inmates. In terms of mental health, we are going to be moving to telehealth, and that will allow us to see more inmates. We're going to have the opportunities to have a clinician with a master's degree level of certification. And in May, we're looking at new proposals on inmate phones and tablets. Signed and delivered on the date September 2nd, and I'll pass that around for submission and request a vote of acceptance.
We have a motion by Master Ellis to accept the jail committee report. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Master Gay. Any questions, comments, or discussions about the report?
Yeah, I've got a question on the date.
Yeah, the date's not
You give us
good.
a report that's made in September?
How did he get that? We both signed it too.
I know, that's
I didn't
fine.
even look at it.
I was gonna say, that's pretty old.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll make that correction.
Yeah, that's a bad date.
You've got a lot to do, but on
Thanks for
September.
noticing that. Thank you, sir. And I do have.
The corrected date is correct. Just say again, what's the correct date?
You have
I
said
don't
that.
have, you've got it on your calendar. I might have it.
April 15th.
Let me look. Yeah, that might be it.
While he's looking, I do have some district comments to make.
September.
I'll hold until September. During a recent Daughters of the American Revolution meeting in Paris, we learned that decades ago, hundreds, literally hundreds of pieces of old blacksmith iron, many of them being fireplace iron, many of them of great, great value, were given by a gentleman to Fort Boonesboro. The information I received originally was that that had gone to Fort Harrod, so I immediately contacted State Representative Kim King, and she got back to me and made the clarification that it wasn't Fort Harrod, that it was Fort Boonesboro. She gave me a lead to the folks at Fort Boonesboro to speak with. We got a hold of the Secretary-Treasurer, who is on the board of the Boonesboro Foundation, and to make a long story short, she said, when can you come over and look? Because I mentioned that we have our Constitution Square, we have the Perryville Museum, and we have the museum out at Portland. And she said, if you can get certification from your judge and from the respective boards of Perryville and Portland, come and look at what you might have for your fireplaces and for other uses to show what blacksmiths were contributing to culture and society as much as 230 and 40 years ago. It's remarkable, some of the pieces that were there and what we brought back. With the help of Dwayne Campbell, we came back with roughly 15 pieces for Constitution Square, 15 pieces for Perryville, and a like number for Forkland. And all we'll need to do is have a certification letter from the judge and from those respective boards of acceptance. They'll inventory them in. Those inventory lists have been sent to me, so we're in good shape on that. No impediments other than just the letter from the 3 respective organizations to accept these. They're being stored right now in the old kitchen on Constitution Square for that element, and the others I'm going to be delivering to the other organizations. One great piece of news out of Perryville is the walk bridge is open, and please take time to drive out there and take a look at it. What I'm particularly pleased with is with a dear friend from Vietnam era who's a quadriplegic. The ramps are unbelievable for anyone to be able to access that walk bridge, and it's so wide that before it opened, a person with a small compact car decided he was going to try to drive over it. Obviously, he failed at the entrance. But it's wonderful and a great addition to the flow of traffic all year long when the 11,000 people who come worldwide will be visiting Perryville. I would end on my great appreciation of our Attorney General, Daniel Cameron. He has joined with the litigation before the U.S. Supreme Court that was entered, I believe, yesterday with respect to the firing of a football coach in another state because he prayed on the field. I would have a sneaking suspicion that things are going to change back to the 1960s, folks, for those of us who played back then. This is before the U.S. Supreme Court for consideration. They're already seeing it on the news. They're hoping for a determination by mid-June from our Supreme Court. So kudos to our Attorney General Daniel Cameron for joining in that litigation, and that is my report, sir.
All right, thank you.
Can I borrow real quick? I'm sorry.
Please, go
and
ahead.
if it's up to you guys, I think we discussed this before. It didn't get on the agenda today, but we do have a part-time new hire over at EMS that wanted to see maybe if Mike could tell us about it, if you guys are okay with hearing that, or do you want him to actually be put on the agenda? I think we talked about it before about, where these new hires are so important to get right away. That
500 plus runs, the pressure on EMS is great, so I would hope that we could help them with doing this quickly.
General, you okay with that, sir?
I'm fine if the court's fine with that. Yeah, let's press on, Mike.
Just to consider a part-time hire of Jeffrey Gross, effective immediately. EMT.
And you've been working with the HR on this? Okay.
I'll make
And
that
the committee,
motion.
could be in the
Second.
committee?
What's his name?
Jeffrey Gross.
Effective today.
Yes.
And the motion was made by Magistrate Caywood, seconded by Magistrate Gay, to acknowledge the hiring of part-time hire in the EMS of Jeffrey Gross. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries down.
Can we have permission to work with the judge and Steve about trying to make this as quick as possible? Because with the EMS shortage that we're having, if somebody walks into my office this afternoon, I can't hire them until the second Tuesday. And by the time, they may be working somewhere else, because there's other agencies that they'll take them that day. I mean, they'll put them on the truck that day.
Since we have an HR and a director, and this is such a fluid environment of skills and abilities that we don't have but come by us one time, I would like for the court's approval to allow the function of this triad between I'm just asking between the HR, the director, and the judge to make those.
I make a motion that we allow the HR director and our director of EMS to make that decision on the spot, and then bring the information back to us.
Knowing full well that every person that is hired is meeting those vetting requirements that the court has asked for.
Right. As long as Chris is okay with it, doesn't mess up our administrative code.
Well, you can make it conditional, you make your motion conditional on the final approval by the fiscal court.
So you could move ahead with the hire.
You could move ahead with a higher condition.
And I think if the committee is involved as well, which Mike does a great job of keeping us
Yes, he
informed
does.
about that stuff. But I think that's.
Okay. So, any more discussion? We have a motion made by Magistrate Simmons. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Magistrate Caywood. We heard the discussion. Is there more? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Kudos to Steve. The process is very quick. We work together, and it is very quick. So
We've incorporated the backgrounds and the drug screens and everything, and
Well, that has to be done anyway, so.
Yeah.
it does.
See what happens when you get them in office.
Judge, I had one more comment. Being a Gideon, I use our founding fathers' prayers often to open up my comments at churches. And with the significance of the lack of prayer in school and lack of prayer on a football field, I love Eloise Roberts, and I'm thrilled that she's on here for the adjournment. But I'd also like to add an endorsement of our Attorney General's support of the prayer in our schools and what's before the U.S. Supreme Court for consideration by June, if you would so agree.
I'm aware of the Eloise Roberts. Now, what do you want?
I'd like to add just a comment in our adjournment supporting the Attorney General of Kentucky, Daniel Cameron, with respect to the consideration of prayer that's before the U.S. Supreme Court right now.
I'm a big Daniel Cameron fan myself, but I don't know if that kind of fits in our
I don't know. I would, for an adjournment, I agree, and I am personal friends and tickled to say that. I'm not sure, and I don't want to enter into any kind of debate, but I'm not sure that is one of those kinds of things that I would like as an honorary adjournment of. I would prefer to have a resolution if the court were so inclined, or another statement of support.
I'll bring
for
something
efforts,
back.
at a later time or whenever you want to do it.
Thank you. I'll bring something back.
I agree, because this, when we honor the person that their adjournment for years has been when someone passes away.
Or some other significant recognition.
That's exactly right.
And he's worthy of that, but in from a different form of support, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Judge. I will do that.
And just the other second thing that I had mentioned I wanted to talk about.
You guys got all kinds of alibis after going
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I said I had two things to discuss, and then Tom jumped in.
I think when we have our turn, that you cut it off at that point.
I'm trying to cut you off.
You bring the next,
No.
to the next court meeting.
I think you'll appreciate this. I made a comment about, some, bogging us down with open records. I was not referring to the general public. There was a specific person that I was referring to. So I didn't want it to come out that I didn't want people to submit, not to submit open records. I think that's a very important process, but I think certain individuals might have malicious intent. So that's all I wanted to clarify. And I'm done. You want some of these? This is a little energy powder. You want that?
Everybody's
Put that in your
okay.
coffee.
I have two things before we move on that I would like to address. One of them is a very important event that our office has worked with the 4th District Magistrate Cullen and Representative Daniel Elliott. And we have worked together through the General Assembly and has passed through the governor's signing process an additional $3.9 million for infrastructure funding that the General Assembly in their road plan approval has worked out for Boyle County. One of the there's three different elements to that, but one significant element that Jason and I worked on diligently is for the 4th District. If anybody's familiar with the old wooden railroad bridge on South Buster Pike over the railroad in that big cut, we have, the railroad approached me some time ago with a desire to remove that bridge so they could get in and rehabilitate the track below it. And I said, you can take it down yesterday, so long as I have a bridge to replace it. Because when two tracks that run parallel coming into Danville have trains there that are refueling and they're stopped, you're boxed in and can't get out other than that bridge, especially for emergency vehicles. And fire trucks of weight, substantial weight, will not cross that bridge because of its age and condition. Working with the General Assembly, we now have an announcement, a press release will go out today that we have $1.6 million for a bridge replacement and $200,000 to assist Norfolk Southern in the demolition of the bridge. So this is to me, a very substantial win for Boyle County to move forward, and I want to thank Representative Sal Santorum, Representative Daniel Elliott, and others that kept this in the road plan for this year. And there is a reference to the recently formed Bridge Formula Program and Bridge Replacement Program in the federal government that helped fund this project. So I want to thank them for their faith and confidence and approach to keeping Boyle County safe, because this will undoubtedly improve access and fire protection with the new fire department going in out at the North Point property that we'll be doing through the county fire and rescue. This will help make a lot of residents in the county accessible to a safer environment.
This is huge, because when we first started meeting with Norfolk, it was kind of, the bridge just needs to come down. We don't really care to see it go up again because they want to have higher trains coming through. And you know, General Hunt's really fought for a bridge to be put back there. We were even on with the transportation cabinet, and essentially the guy there told Norfolk Southern to pound saying we ain't contributing no money to it or whatever, and this is just, you know, the General Hunt did not let this go. He understood the significance of it. You know, we talked with the warden at the jail, fire chief of Boyle County. You know, we have several of the volunteer firefighters that live over off Faulkner Station, so they understand the importance of getting trapped in there by those trains. But this is also huge too, because Norfolk Southern needs that line, and that line is sinking. So they need to be able to go in there and really rehab it to make sure that it's still a line that comes through. While, you know, it's an impediment to a lot of us, it's still very vital for getting, you know, supplies and everything throughout the country. So I'm very grateful that you know, some others would maybe just caved when a big group like Norfolk Southern came through and said, well, we're just going to take down the bridge, because it didn't have to go back up. But it's vital and it's needed. It should have been replaced a long time ago. So I know myself and many others in the 4th District in that area are grateful for this. So thank you.
I know for a fact, additionally, I believe it's your district, Major Short, that the Alum Springs Cross Pike has, and a part of Corporate Drive, Dwayne, west of Alum Springs, is going to be receiving a little over $2 million to help improve the safety and access of those roads out there. So again, that's reaching helping improve the safety, resurfacing and stuff like that for those roads in that district. So
that was a huge concern in his Pulse of the People.
Huge concern. It was brought up at the Pulse of the People in Junction City. So you know, that's being addressed through right now and approved in the budget. Yes, sir, John.
Since you have this influence with the railroad, could you get them to repaint the overpass on Maple Avenue?
Let me take that under advisement and see what I can do.
I know a couple local artists that will.
I've tried years ago. I didn't get very far. But, it's very unsightly.
Yeah.
Tourists coming in.
That's a good point.
I noticed, Herschel, we usually don't allow a comment from the public. You raised your hand. What?
Thank you, Judge. I live on Gwynn Island Road, and many times would use Faulkner Station Road. It is not unusual to have to backtrack and go around over the bridge on Buster Pike simply because there is a train stopping traffic both ways for, I've sat there for 15 to 20 minutes and it's not moved. Yeah. We do need that, I think, but it has gotten a little bit better in the last couple of weeks, because when I have traveled that road, the train has actually stopped before the crossing. Yes. If they can do that, that's no problem. But if they continue to stop right there in the middle, the next alternative is either go down to the bypass, go around, come up 127, or go to Bergen and go across. Oh boy. Yeah. So that's the situation that exists for residents who do utilize that.
So
our buses get hit all the time. Our buses, school buses.
Yeah.
They get stopped there all the time.
And if the train is moving fast, it's not that, but trains are longer now.
Well, they're just sitting there getting refueled.
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't know when they're gonna move what.
Mhm.
They don't move until they get refueled all the way.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. One other thing, sir, I wanted to tell the court that I appreciate the fact that we have a driver's license area in Kentucky to renew our area in Danville. Thank you for your work there, sir. Although I don't understand why we've created a new bureaucracy, costly bureaucracy for just getting your driver's license taken care of when you can come to the courthouse.
At least we don't have to drive long distances to do it.
Yeah, and not have to drive long distances to do it. You could go to your courthouse and possibly with a slight salary increase or a personnel increase would have been a whole lot less expensive. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Council has one last alibi.
This week is National Crime Victims' Rights Week. I just wanted to announce that. It's observed the 24th to the 30th. The theme of Crime Victims' Rights Week is rights, access, equity for all victims. And the theme underscores the importance of helping crime survivors find their justice by enforcing victims' rights, expanding access to services, and ensuring equity and inclusion for all. Attorney General Cameron is actually having a resource fair regarding crime victims awareness tomorrow in Frankfurt. Unfortunately, I have to handle court, or I would have gone, but my victims advocate is going to attend that.
I'll take court for you so you can go.
Thanks. And the last thing, brass band's coming up June 2nd to the 5th. I've always been in charge of well, at least for the past 5 years or more, the Pepsi booth. So I'll be seeking out magistrates and other persons to assist in manning that booth.
I don't have an excuse this year,
so thank you.
Thank you. I have one last thing, well, two last things. I did circulate a card, a thank you note from Miss Susan Hunstead that is thanking the court for all the outpouring of recognizing the passing of her husband Bernie, and former mayor of Danville. So I wanted everybody to see what she brought that by yesterday or the day before, yesterday I guess. And so I'm appreciative of that. One last thing that I have is that I would like to take just about 30 seconds of personal privilege and recognize my granddaughter, Ada Baker, who lives on the other side of Cornishville with my daughter and her husband, Bryant and Hannah Baker. Ada goes to school now in Mercer County, but she recently won a Daughters of American Revolutionary War gold medal for an essay on the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And not only was it a regional and state award, she won the national award for all fourth graders in the whole country. Wow. So I just wanted to recognize and congratulate Ada for that national award. Thank you for that. I don't have anything else. I do believe we have a request to go into executive session to discuss an issue. What do we need to say on that, Counselor, to be specific? That we request to go into executive session under KS 61.810, parentheses 1, parentheses F, discussion or hearing that might lead to appointment, discipline, or dismissal of individual employee. Discussion on.
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion made by Magistrate Gay and seconded by Magistrate Caywood.
I think you said it correctly.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion that we will vote to go into executive session? All right. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those like make sure that
Did you get the sound taken care of?
I did, sir.
Thank you.
You wanna ask him when
I'll fill that
we're ready?
out. I'll make a motion we come out of executive session.
Okay, we have a motion made by Magistrate Cullen, second by Magistrate Gage, come out of executive session. With the statement that no action was taken while we were in executive session, period. Is there any discussion on that motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We're out of executive session. Thank you for that. I think the only thing we have remaining on the agenda today is adjournment. And I would like to.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded by Magistrate Cullen, seconded by Magistrate Caywood. I would like to adjourn today
As long as I get out of here.
in honor and recognition of a Boyle County centenarian, Miss Eloise Roberts, the widow of Dr. Austin Roberts, and for all that she has seen and experienced in a century of life. All members adjourned in celebration of this esteemed recognition on this day, 26 April 2022. With that, gentlemen, being said, in honor of Miss Eloise Roberts, we thank you for all your due diligence and your contributions to the county advancement today. And thank you. We stand in adjournment.